Last month, In Your Corner heard from several viewers who had ordered grave markers from a company in Oklahoma City called RE Memorials. The company had contacted the families by phone after they lost family members to sell them stones. But Desi Boatman said she's waited months and never got the marker. Her daughter says the company is difficult to contact.
I got a hold of a lady one time, and it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, and she said that it would be delivered before Christmas. We've heard nothing.
Well, the Boatman's marker was finally delivered, but Eileen Salvia and a list of others who have called In Your Corner still are waiting. Naomi Pierce of RE Memorials called News 4 to say she would be out with her attorney after our story, but she broke numerous appointments. However, Naomi called In Your Corner and claimed that cemetery owners and grave marker manufacturers were conspiring to keep RE Memorials from selling grave markers. She says that's why the deliveries have been slow. Naomi alleges they'll be taking action on that soon. In Your Corner also learned that the operators of RE Memorials were arrested in Tulsa last year for fraud, but were let off when the charges did not stick. In a report last week, 3 new homeowners in Pecan Valley pointed out defects with their homes and alleged they couldn't get them fixed. The homeowners said Pecan Valley Homes told them, allegedly, they would have a 10-year homeowner's warranty, but they never received the paperwork. Now, Pecan Valley officials say they only told homeowners that Pecan Valley was applying for the homeowner's warranty coverage. But in the meantime, Pecan Valley has installed drains around and under Steve Gooch's home to release the water that gathered under it. They have written letters to the other homeowners describing action. They'll take on their problems and we'll check back again.
Now they tell us that it...
There was no good news for Darren Stone, who had answered a newspaper ad to get into the vending machine business. Darren claimed the Continental Beverage Company of Wilmington, Delaware, was to locate his 3 soft drink machines for him in profitable locations around this city. But Darren said the locations were so bad he was losing money. One of the machines now sits in his den. We called Continental Beverage and were told they would send a locator into Oklahoma City to help relocate Darren's vending machines or help him sell them to the highest bidder. They have not. But we learned that Darren is not alone in this. Others who got into the business with Continental around the southwest area have also made claims against the company and say they, too, are getting no service. Finally, this evening, the awarding of our first In Your Corner Traffic Follies Pothole Authority Award. The T-shirt for reporting the largest pothole of the week goes to viewer L.J. Golden, who called in the location at Southwest 149th between Penn and Western. In fact, while our cameras were there, neighbor Jake Morgan commented on the road crater.
We've called it in to the county commissioner and also the city for the last week, and nothing's happened.
Nothing at all?
Nothing.
A viewer named Jerry Mason told In Your Corner she was called and asked to buy this KOKC Radio Shoppers coupon book for $39.95. Now, she alleged she was told she'd receive a diamond ring worth about $70 when they brought out the book, so she ordered it, but then was allegedly told she'd have to pick up the ring at Jim's pawn shop. Well, we visited Jim's and found another lady who bought the coupon book and came to get her diamond ring.
Well, they said that diamond rings, but they didn't say that the chip, just like this.
She, too, expected a diamond ring, but like the others, found that it was just an unmounted man-made diamond. Pawn shop owner Jim Legere said he's been getting some grief over this. The actual idea was for the coupon book to bring him some new customers that might come back.
Customers was coming in here hoping to get a ring, and all it was just a loose stone.
Yeah.
So they're
What would they say?
They'd say that's what the people selling the books, told them. Yeah. And so I got on the phone and called the people and told them to quit telling them that, and they claimed they wasn't telling the customers that, and I said, yeah, you are. People's telling me that. So,
by coincidence, a former employee of the Super Saver coupon book sales room came in Jim's pawn shop. When he heard us talking, he told us that sometime in order to make a sale, employees would ad-lib.
I don't think the people should be getting mad at the merchants. It's not the merchants. It's the people doing the sales pitch or the telephone. They are doing what is called ad-libbing in the business. In other words, they're not reading the pitch sheet.
Yeah, but does the boss man allow them to do that?
No.
I paid a visit to the coupon book phone sales room and was shown signs warning the sales staff not to ad-lib, not to tell people they would receive a mounted diamond ring. Then the manager said he would take care of the problems that Jim's pawn shop was running into. In earlier reports on In Your Corner, we checked into the coupon book business that has had many complaints against it in the past. However, Bill Squires, operator of the Super Saver book, said when he was setting it up that he was no longer associated with those who operated the business improperly. He was on his own running a clean operation. So we checked out some of the coupons in his book and found a few questionable items, such as the offer from Salad Master for a free gift valued at $100, plus dinner for yourself and 5 couples with no cost, no obligation. Well, it really requires you to have a dinner in your home to help sell Salad Master items. Next, the Thriftway offer of free installed wiper blades, ladies only. That requires you to buy the blades at their store first. And the offer at Bill's Automotive. The offer for one complete rear brake job then says labor and parts additional, so it ends up costing about $44. The coupon was to be a voucher for a complete brake job valued at $50. Mike Thayer says he was gearing up for some specialized military training, so he signed up for some karate and weightlifting training at Bill Cagle's karate school. He signed up for 3 months and was so pleased with his training, he went even further and bought a lifetime membership for $650. That membership gave him a lot more freedom to train around his work schedule. But when Cagle's moved to a new location, Mike says he got a surprise about his lifetime membership.
I was working out in the gym February of this year, and the weight training coach asked me if I had gotten a renewal notice, and I said no. He said, well, you need to see the receptionist.
Mike had only gotten about 2.5 years' use of his lifetime membership, so talk of a renewal notice surprised him. The receptionist at the fitness center looked up Mike's contract.
And she explained to me that what happened was when they moved from their old location to their new location, that they had dissolved the old corporation and that the new investors did not want to carry the old life members. She said that Mr. Cagle did not agree with this, and this was apparently the arrangement they came to.
Mike alleges the owner, Bill Cagle, wouldn't discuss it with him and kept directing him to the receptionist. Mike's lifetime contract was signed by the owner, Bill Cagle, and it said paid in full. Also, it stated the contract was not cancelable. Yet, at the new location, they told Mike he must pay an additional $55 a year to continue his lifetime membership. Mike claims he had no notice from the company that there would be any changes or any additional fees. Now, I checked with the owner, Bill Cagle, who did not want to interview on camera, but he said the policy was fair. He alleged that the old corporation was dissolved and that he had a new partner and a new business now. However, I could find no record of them ever being incorporated. Now, Cagle stated that other fitness centers collect additional fees in later years from their lifetime members, and he said it wouldn't be fair to his new partner not to collect those fees because his new partner wouldn't benefit from the old ones. Plus, Cagle says they've expanded their new center with more facilities for the members, which means more expenses for the fitness center. But that's not what it means to Mike Thayer, who has a signed lifetime contract that says paid in full and says nothing about annual fees in the future. I found Thelma in a rain-soaked area near Harrow-Newalla Road. Mobile home repairmen had called us about her problem. She called them for help, but when they saw the condition of her mobile home, they didn't know where to start repairing. Yeah, okay. We learned the home was being sold for a private individual through a company called Equity Finders. They took Thelma to see it, and she bought it, as is, for $5,000. And how did it look to you when you saw it?
It looked all right. When he said that everything worked, I thought maybe the furnace. That was what most I was after, to get some heat for winter, you know. Mm-hmm. But that didn't work, then I didn't like it after I found out when we moved it up here.
So when you got it out here, what kind of things did you find that were wrong?
Everything.
Everything? Thelma had to leave the house during the winter because of the lack of heat. Well, she finally moved a gas heater into the living room, which helped when it got a little warmer. But there were other problems to contend with. The plumbing was no good. She has no water and gets a few gallons a day from neighbors. Right now, she's worrying about the leaking roof and windows. Water drips down the walls, sometimes across electrical sockets. The repairmen say the floor already is rotten, so she worries about the floor holding up, as well as the roof. Her front door, barely holding together. The back door is worse. It had to be screwed shut, so if there's a fire, her escape route is limited. In the bathroom, the light hangs loose over the sink and doesn't work. The counter is ready to fall off, and the toilet stool is not anchored down. A loosening wall in the shower leaves daylight in from the outside. In her bedroom, there are leaking ceilings as well as loose windows. I asked Thelma what she was going to do.
Try to get another one if I can get something suitable. Have to, because this is my home.
Well, there's a problem with getting the home fixed. She bought it as is, and the company that sold it, Equity Finders, is out of business since the sale last November. We tracked down the dealer, Ken Ferens, to Sunset Mobile Homes. Ken didn't want to interview on camera, so we turned it off. But he said he never saw Thelma's home. He sent salesperson Kim Walker out with Thelma, and she made the sale. But she no longer works for him. Now, Ken did say he would try to track down the original owner they sold the home for to see about the problems with the home. But there is little recourse for Thelma, except that she thought she was buying a 14-foot wide home. In fact, the contract states it's 14 feet, but when we measured it, the home was only 12 foot wide. So she might have legal grounds to take to court for misrepresentation. Ken Ferren says he must have written it up wrong, but Thelma feels differently about the whole thing.
They shouldn't do people that way, especially elderly people.
Yesterday, we saw the solar heating system of Tommy Keller in Mustang. Keller said he had bursting pipes on his solar unit, which flooded his house 2 days in a row in January. That led him to find out the system violated city codes of Mustang regarding the plumbing, the electrical connection, and the workers did not obtain a city building permit and get an inspection. At first, Keller's system worked, and he had some savings on his bills. Now, his bills have gone up on his all-electric home, and the system has stopped working. Well, it's not the same for Ernie Deemers in Choctaw, who has the same solar heating system installed by the same company.
It's just fine. I've got no complaints.
And you have a couple of years experience with this system?
Yes, sir. Sure do.
Let's see. A couple of things I wanted to ask about it were as far as how much savings they told you and what you're actually getting.
Well, when the engineers come out, they said between 35, 40, maybe 50% when they had the full system in. And I'm realizing between 25 and 30%. So it's fine.
Yeah, you're pleased with that?
Very much, yes.
Okay. Now, as far as maintenance breakdowns, have you had any problems there?
I had one water leak last December. It was a pinhole in the line, and in a matter of 2-3 hours, they were out to repair it.
Ernie's system also has the gray plastic pipe, which is against city codes in Mustang, but not Choctaw. Ernie had no bursting pipes, but he did insulate the closet where the storage tanks are, and his roof did not leak after the installation, as Keller's did. But like Keller, Ernie was not aware if the Solar-On company got a city permit for the installation and had it inspected afterward. So the same system, but two different experiences. One happy, the other unhappy. Well, that's what Ward Slager and the Oklahoma Solar Industries Association is trying to control. The unhappy experiences with solar heating systems.
What we have is our hotline, which is into our office, and we handle any kind of a problem that comes in. Generally, the procedure is if there's a complaint, we'll file a report and get the company to respond to that customer within a couple of days. And if that's unsolved, then it goes before we have an ethics committee that handles those problems. There are people that are shopping for solar. What we do is we'll send out a shopping tips list. It's about 10 tips that I went through with the Attorney General's office. They're very happy with it. We send out a customer list, a client list of our association. These are all people who've signed the Code of Ethics and have been very vocal about the need for good ethical conduct with customers. And if they have any problems after the sale, give us a call. We've had members go out and fix systems for free. Not that that's going to happen as a regular thing, but we'll at least make sure that that customer has a way of getting a problem solved.
Now, Ward says the association is growing in membership, which hopes to monitor their own industry without government interference. And they want the public to know there are many good solar heating systems available and many good dealers you never hear about. So when you call their hotline, they'll send you shopping tips to lead you in the right direction. Call them at 364-2579. They will also help those who may have a system that's giving them problems and the dealer has disappeared.
Than the rest of you because of that, that she still is a friend and she's worthy of being a friend and that she has feelings. And I think one of the most important things that you can do for Missy is to realize that even though she may not be living long, she is living. She's living until the minute that she dies.
Nurses Barbara Spencer and Vicki Thymer of the Cancer Clinic at Children's Memorial Hospital visited classmates of Missy Peck this morning so that her friends could understand what's happening to Missy. After a 5-year battle with leukemia, the disease is in its final stages, the terminal stage, or as the nurses told the children, the medicine is not working anymore. In Your Corner has followed Missy's battle for several years. In that time, Missy's leukemia has gone through remission and then relapse. Early in 1983, a viewer told us about Missy's relapse and the fact that her mother, Judy, was a single parent trying to work a job in Oklahoma City, then pick up Missy in Mustang and take her to the hospital in the city for treatments. Friends said Judy needed enough money to quit work while trying to help get Missy's leukemia under control again.
Everyone who came through the door tonight was charged an extra $1. Every bit of that money is going to go to help Missy Peck. She's 6 years old and lives in Mustang and has leukemia.
The community began to help Missy and her mother. The Graham Central Station Club held a fundraiser. But it was Judy's church in Mustang that started the ball rolling in raising money. Soon, enough money was raised for Judy to spend all her time with Missy, who was back in the hospital again and needed her mother's full-time attention. Well, the battle went on with the leukemia. We saw Missy again recently when employees of Jackie Cooper Auto Stores funded an In Your Corner day out for children in Memorial Hospital clinics. At that time, Missy was struggling with the leukemia again, now in its final stages. Well, that news spurred Oklahoma police, firemen, and highway patrolmen to put Missy in the Make-A-Wish program, a program designed to make a dream come true for children with terminal diseases. Missy's dream was a trip to Disneyland.
For those of you that don't know, the Make-A-Wish program is sponsored by the Fraternal Order of Police, the Firefighters Association, and the Oklahoma State Troopers Association. Missy is our 35th, I believe, Make-A-Wish child. She's going to go to Disneyland with her parents today at 5:15, I believe it is, and they're going to hopefully have a super good time.
At a Make-A-Wish news conference today, reporters asked Missy if she'd always wanted to go to Disneyland.
Wanted to go to Disneyland?
For how long?
Ever since I've been alive, I guess.
Well, thanks to the Make-A-Wish program, Missy's dream came true today. A trip to Disneyland in California with her family. In Your Corner's cameras were at Will Rogers Airport to see Missy off just minutes ago.
Missy, can you tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to in California?
Mickey Mouse, see Mickey Mouse.
Lorraine Godfrey called In Your Corner during our recent rainstorms to complain about her basement. It was leaking water, just like it did last year when she alleges she paid Howard Nichols and Son of Clinton to waterproof the basement. She alleges she ended up paying twice the price first quoted her. When he first came out and gave you an estimate, how much did he say it was going to be?
Between $700 and $800.
But now you ended up paying how much?
$1,400.
Why was that?
He said it was more work than he thought it was going to be. That was his excuse.
Well, now this is a tiny little basement. It doesn't look like all that much work. Did he have to take the paneling off to do it?
He didn't take it off. He said he thought he could do it without. But it might be necessary later, but he never did come back.
I see. Did he give you a guarantee? What's the guarantee on this job?
Well, I showed you the piece that had the paper where it guarantees 10 years. Unconditional guarantee.
Now, Lorraine says after the job was first done, Nichols came back a couple of times, but after the first rain, when it started leaking again, she couldn't get in touch with him.
I called him numerous times, I don't know how many, for several weeks, and left my number, and he would not return my call. And I wrote to him, and I called him on the telephone with just calling direct person to person, and he refused my call.
When In Your Corner staff called Nichols a few weeks ago, he said he would contact Lorraine a week ago last Wednesday, but Lorraine says he hasn't. Nichols also alleged he told her they would have to take off the paneling, but she wouldn't let him.
He said he thought he could do it without removing the paneling, but it might be necessary. And then I just haven't got to talk to him since then.
Feel like you got your money's worth?
No, I do not.
Well, Lorraine claims her phone calls still are not returned. 5 other viewers have called In Your Corner alleging they have the same problem with Nichols. One viewer sent a recent newspaper ad. It does not guarantee the waterproofing for 10 years. It just says it's guaranteed. Other waterproofing companies I called only guarantee for 5 years. Some won't guarantee at all if the waterproofing is done from the inside, rather than digging up the foundation and coating it from the outside. Gwen Dillon told me she was interested in working as a model, and that's why she answered a newspaper ad for a company called Midwest Modelos. It was looking for some local girls to do some modeling. Gwen answered the ad and said a woman named Bronte Gillen asked her to come to her apartment for an interview. What was the pitch when you got to the apartment?
That it was a new modeling agency that was branching out from Florida, and it would be, you know, a lot of travel, mostly on weekends, a couple weekends a month. And there wasn't really a pitch, you know. But
Were they to train you as a model?
Yeah.
Well, the training would cost the girls $150, but there was nowhere to train at first. Later, they trained here at a local club. When the girls actually did a modeling show, they were to be paid $50 an hour, and their first assignment was to be at a club in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was supposedly arranged by the Talk of the Town modeling agency in Fort Lauderdale, where Mrs. Gillen had worked. What was coming up?
A show in Fort Lauderdale, Mother's Day, at the club I-95.
Do you know anything about that club? Do you know, how were you going to get there?
In a van, in a rented van.
They were going to drive you down in a rented van?
Mm-hmm.
Who all would be going on the trip?
Me and at least 3 other girls, and 1 or 2 of the male models.
So what did you think about that? Did it sound legitimate?
I don't know. It was questionable, yeah.
Now, Gwen and her family were a little bit concerned about Gwen traveling cross-country in a van with strangers to model in a club they never heard of. In Your Corner called the Fort Lauderdale Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, and the police. No one knew of the Talk of the Town modeling agency there, nor Club I-95, where the girls were to model. I went to visit Mrs. Gillen of the Midwest Modelos at her apartment in Oklahoma City and got a confusing story.
It's just really, it's not really, I really don't know how he got so, out like that, because it's not really.
It was advertised in the paper, wasn't it?
Well, not as an agency, it was just advertised we were looking for just a few models, and.
Mrs. Gillen said she and a friend were both models and were trying to get a few girls together to model at discos, for example. But she said it wasn't working out, so there'd be no training school and no trip to Fort Lauderdale. She could offer us no credentials for modeling, and although she said she modeled most of her life, she could only name one disco where she had ever modeled. In Your Corner located the Talk of the Town modeling agency in Fort Lauderdale by phone. The owner said they had traveling models, and when they were offered enough money, they would go anywhere to model fashion clothes, lingerie, and so forth. We passed this information along to Gwen, who said she was not interested in pursuing this opportunity any further. Now, a note about yesterday's report. Viewers told us yesterday children were collecting beverage can pop-tops because they heard it could be traded to buy time on a dialysis machine for a needy child kidney patient. We could find no truth to that story at all. Later, a viewer called to say there was a sign on a bulletin board at the Veterans Hospital which stated that for every 100 pop-tops brought in, a free pint of blood would be given to a kidney dialysis patient. I checked with VA hospital officials. They found that sign but said there was no truth to it. We still do not know who started the rumors or why.
At the beginning
Tommy Keller of Mustang called In Your Corner in March to complain that his solar hot water system had broken pipes and flooded his home twice in January. He had the system for 2 years and at first had some savings on his electrical bills, but that had changed. Now the system didn't work, and he alleged the city inspector told him the installation didn't meet city codes. In addition, the company he bought the system from, Solaron, had changed hands, and the new owners were not doing repairs on systems sold before they took over. In Your Corner contacted the manufacturer in Colorado, and we received a copy of the letter sent to Tommy. Solaron officials said when they installed his system, Mustang did not have building codes for solar units, but that Solaron would send a serviceman to bring the system up to present city codes. They would also install new fittings to prevent pipes from breaking and flooding Tommy's house in the future. They offered a complete walkthrough of the system with their servicemen to ensure the system was in operating order, and we thank them for their response. Also, State Corporation Commission officials remind us that the federal tax credits for solar units runs out at the end of this year. Oklahoma's state tax credit, on the other hand, will then go up to 55% next year, which will make Oklahoma very attractive to many companies selling the solar systems. So consumers should be alert to high-pressure salesmen trying to rush the customer into buying before federal tax credits run out. Check out each and every company very carefully before you buy. We also heard back from the Guinness Book of World Records in London concerning Gordon Graham and what he says was the world's largest tomato plant grown last summer. Gordon had documented the size of his plant, which was several feet longer than the previous world record. He sent his information to the New York publisher of Guinness. They said they had sent the information on to the Guinness Book in England. But in a phone call this week, the Guinness Book in England says they never received that information. They asked us to have Gordon mail in the information himself, which we did. So Gordon still has a chance to be recognized in the Guinness Book of World Records next edition. At the state capitol today, the Attorney General's office had a small consumer fair in the Rotunda. Just a preview of what's coming up Wednesday at Shepherd Mall in Oklahoma City. The fair will be loaded with vital information to help Oklahomans become better and safer consumers. How to recognize rip-offs, such as these diet glasses shown by the postal inspectors. Wearing the eyeglasses was to help you lose weight. Just one of the many scams postal inspectors look for and stop. You'll also find information on services available for senior citizens, the handicapped, and there will be information for everyone that hates to waste money. So if you have some questions on consumer problems and what to do about them, bring them with you to Shepherd Mall, 10 to 4 p.m. on Wednesday.